on the Arkansas 80.
Between Robin Park.
9655 Philadelphia Eastbound.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Badge, the official podcast of the California Highway Patrol. I'm Captain Blair Hardcastle.
And I am Lieutenant Julie Powell. And today we are honored to have Sergeant Shane Kensey and Officer Matt Butler from the Central Division K-9 Unit. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
We want to first talk about obviously you both are in the K-9 unit. We'll start with the sergeant. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path and how you ended up in K-9 and if that was always the goal?
That's a long story.
We got time.
I see. I've been on for a little over 27 years now. And it's funny because I started out when I was going to Sac State, I was a junior, figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I ran into, I was at a job fair at Sac State, and I ran into Assistant Commissioner Rodney Ellison.
So funny. He told me that story before we came down here. He's like, I recruited him.
Yes, and he was at a recruitment table, so I started talking to him, and I liked what I heard. So I decided, let me check this Highway Patrol thing out. And so I started working towards it at that point, and then when I graduated, I went ahead and applied. And the crazy thing is back then, this was back in 1997, 98, is the hiring process was long. It took an average 18 months to get on. So I applied, myself and actually my roommate, we both applied at the same time. And after 18 months, actually, he got on. He was in my senior class. Dave Corona, he recently retired. And then I got on in the junior class. And then we were roommates, and then we both went to East LA.
Cool.
So we were roommates in East LA. And so I stayed in East LA for 3 years. And then I decided I wanted to come back to the Central Valley. Moved back to Merced after 3 years in East LA and went to the Merced office. Worked patrol there probably another 5 years or so. And then I was fortunate enough, I actually took an inside job at Division as an occupational safety officer. And the plan behind that was to try to get to MAGIC, which is a gang task force in Fresno. Well, that didn't work out because MAGIC was sewed up and it was very hard to get into there. So I ended up going back to patrol, and I was approached by the area commander, and he said, hey, I know you're interested in gangs, and so we have a gang task force here. Would you be interested? I said, absolutely. So interviewed for that position, was fortunate enough to get it. And then, so I was on a gang task force for about 5 years. And I stopped this vehicle, just a regular traffic stop, and I start seeing a lot of things that just weren't right. Ended up developing probable cause to search the vehicle. I found a kilo of cocaine and a gun, loaded gun. So I'm like, whoa, I'd never even seen a kilo of cocaine before. This is all grams and, half grams and tenths and whatnot. And so I was like, man, this is kind of interesting here. And so from that point forward, kind of took an interest in narcotics and K-9 and started trying to figure out, hey, I know we have K-9s, but I've never seen one. What's going on? And so it just so happened that one of my friends who was in my junior class, his name's Darren Long, he was a K-9 officer in Madera area. And we knew each other, and I knew he was a K-9 officer, but we never ran into each other, even though we were neighboring. And so over time, over that next year, there was 2 or 3 more instances where I actually made stops and got drugs. And Darren got wind of it. And so Darren approaches me. He goes, hey, man, we got an opening coming in the K-9 unit. We see that you're out there making stops and, some good quality stops, and wondering if you were interested. And I was like, K-9 is, nobody gets into K-9. It's not, that. I was like, yeah, I'm interested, but do I even have a chance? And he says, well, I think so. I think you'd be a good candidate. My sergeant will probably ask me if you don't put in for it, why you're not putting in for it. So I said, okay. So I put in for it. I interviewed. I don't even remember how many people it was. It was a lot of people, though, that I interviewed against, and I was fortunate enough to get it. And so I joined the K-9 unit, and that was in 2012. So I've been in K-9 now for 13 years.
Forever.
Everybody's like, when's that guy leaving so he can open up some room for the rest of us? I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not.
So I got into the K-9 unit as a handler, and after 12 years, it was like I'm coming kind of close to the end of my career, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Do I just want to stay as a handler? Do I want to promote? And I was like, nah, I don't want to promote if I got to leave K-9. This is what I do, and this is how I want to finish up my career. So it just so happened my supervisor at the time, Sergeant Brian Yoakley, was doing the numbers. And so he was about to retire. And he tells me, he goes, hey, man, I'm leaving in a few years. If you're going to take the test, now it's time to take it. I said, okay, well, I'll study for it. And I put the effort in. The test, it was difficult, but it's one of those tests, the process. If you prepare and you study, you will do well. And so I actually made the list, and the timing worked out just right. As he was retiring, the position came open, and I was on the list, and I was close. And so in 2022, I was able to promote in place as a K-9 sergeant, which is, that never happens.
The gig, the dream, right?
When you promoted, did you get to keep your partner?
And believe it or not, I did. My partner at that time was Benny, K-9 Benny. And
celebrity.
Very famous.
Maybe you've heard of him.
Instagram famous for sure. I'm sure we've got some pictures and video of Benny that we can put in.
Yeah, he's a fantastic partner. But so yeah, I kept Benny for almost another year and a half, almost 2 years, until he had we were exercising one day. Well, he was exercising. I wasn't.
Supervising. You were
I was supervising his exercise, and he tore his ACL.
Oh, man.
And so took him to the vet, and he's got a torn ACL. And so the department was great. The department said, hey, you know what? Whatever he needs, make it happen. And so he had surgery on his ACL, got it repaired, come back 100%. But then they're like, well, maybe he's a little older. At that time, he was 8, and we project our K-9s to retire at 8 years old. That's the projected. Sometimes they go a little longer, sometimes a little less. They're like, well, maybe you're going to consider retiring him. I say, I don't want to retire him.
No.
He's still good to go.
Yeah.
And so the powers above said, well, what if he blows his other ACL? And I'm like, you got a point there, because that's not uncommon for a dog once they tear an ACL to tear another one. So I said, okay, he's put his time in. Let's go ahead and retire him. So we retired him, and now he lives at home with me.
Living the good life.
He's living the good life. He raised the fruit trees, sits around, steals food from the chihuahuas.
Yeah.
He's living it.
Okay. You earned that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, since 2022 is when I promoted. I've been the supervisor for the Central Division K-9 Unit ever since, and it is the absolute best decision I made in my career, by far.
And
Amazing.
As the Central, are you the only sergeant for K-9 in Central Division?
Yes.
So you handle everything from Modesto to Fort Tejon, and
from the LA County line to the San Joaquin County line. It's probably 240 miles of freeway.
That's
north and south.
a
99,
huge amount of
I-5.
territory. And how many K-9 handlers are you supervising right now?
We have 6. We have 2 that predominantly work in Kern County, the south end of the Kern County and Tulare County, southern part of the division. Then we have 2 in the central part of the division, and then we have 2 in the northern part. And Matt's one of the ones that works up in the northern part of the division.
Matt,
Yeah.
perfect.
What
Good
a great
transition.
What a great segue.
Yes. So Officer Butler, obviously a K-9 handler in Central Division, which Sergeant supervises. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up in the K-9 unit.
So I graduated from the academy in 2007. I was 21. Went to East LA, same as Shane. Did my year there. After that, I tried to get back home to the Central Valley. Ended up in Monterey for 6 months. Close. And it was beautiful. I wish I could have stayed.
M like Merced, Modesto, Monterey.
You're just a Pacheco Pass trip away from home.
Right? And I went home many times working in Monterey, but not so much when I was in East LA. So as soon as I got there, I turned in a 220 to get to Merced, Modesto area. That's where I'm from. And
220 for those listening that don't know is like our transfer document.
Right.
So you have to submit one of those in order to get to another location.
Right. And so I ended up getting it on my first attempt. I got Merced, and I didn't realize how great that was going to be for my career. Merced is a wonderful area. It's not too busy call-wise, and so you're able to be proactive if that's your style of work. I got there. That's where I met Shane. Shane was on the gang task force at the time. Ended up mentoring me as I, grew from 18 months on, to 3, 4, 5 years on, and started getting into a lot of stuff, arresting DUIs, pursuits, having a lot of fun. And then one of my coworkers named Charlie Wilson ended up playing a big part in my career. He was out there. He's working the road, working a beat, and he ends up finding a lot of drugs. And I'm talking, 10, 20, 30 pounds of drugs. And then, he'd come in with a $40,000 asset forfeiture of some sort. And he's just doing it repeatedly. And it caught my interest because I'm like, I don't understand. How do you keep doing that on a regular basis? And so he basically mentored me and started feeding me information. This is how you do it. This is what I do. And I just kind of fell in love with that kind of work. And I love the difficulty of it. And so I like the challenge. And so I started pursuing that, going to training, continuing with it. At that time, Shane was doing the same thing. And so it was great because I had, 3 years on. Shane had, 13 years on at the time. So not only was he mentoring me just in my career, but we were able to get into that field together.
So did you know that when you were doing interdiction, focusing on that aspect and learning that skill set, did you know that you wanted a canine?
I didn't know at the time. I just knew that I enjoyed the work, right? Like it wasn't hey, I need you to go out and do it. It's like, hey, let me go to the road so I can work and find what I'm looking for. And so the natural progression of that was canine. And that's kind of how I ended up going that direction.
And how long have you been a handler now?
April will be 10 years.
Okay. And same partner, or have you had a couple partners
So
now?
this is actually my third partner. I had Bruce for about 6.5 years. Bruce retired. I briefly had K-9 Luna, and then she retired due to a medical issue. And now I'm paired with K-9 Shay.
Okay.
Bruce was one of my favorites. He was like a small dog.
He was
just
small.
like a small dog. I remember you were in Corey Barton's class, I think.
Yes.
And I was like secretly hoping that he was going to get Bruce, and then Matt got Bruce.
Yeah,
So
Bruce was a fantastic dog.
Yes.
They gave me a lot of crap because he was a smaller dog, but in the end, it ended up being fantastic. If I'd run him around a car, he would literally go underneath the car and be like, "It's right here. I found it. It's right here." And I'm like, "You see this? It's right there." So it was unique.
Well, and I think it's important that we talk a little bit about your canine background, because obviously you know the dogs, you know the handlers, because how long were you in canine in Valley Division?
I was in Valley Division K-9 for about, I think it was almost 10 years. And then I was the supervisor of the Valley Division K-9 Unit, and loved it. Was the best job ever. I mean, the job I have now is great too, but it was up there. Mm-hmm. It was up there with my current job,
Well,
which is also my favorite.
You get to hang out with the dogs all day. I can't imagine a better job.
It is for anybody that has the opportunity to be a canine handler on probably any department, but I'm going to speak to ours. It is a unique and I would argue probably the best assignment that the department has to offer. So, especially if you love dogs. So,
well, in our canine program, we do have a statewide canine program.
Yes.
And they're operated at the division level, correct? So our 8 field divisions have the K-9 units. How does Central Division differ from other areas of the state? Like, what are your focuses? Are there things that are different about working the I-5 corridor and the 99 corridor through the valley as opposed to maybe in a more metropolitan area?
Yes. Well, if you look at the Central Valley, it's spread out. There's not a lot of, it's not like LA or the Bay Area, San Francisco and whatnot. So we don't get as many calls for service, say like LA or San Diego or San Francisco. And when I say calls for service, I mean barricaded suspect, pursuits, backing up other officers, area searches and things like that. We don't get as many of those calls simply because of our geographical location. But that gives us a lot of time to do criminal interdiction, which is, you have to understand, we have the Interstate 5, which runs from basically Mexico to Canada. So it runs the entire length of the state. And then we have State Route 99, which starts at just north of the LA County line and runs all the way up. I don't even know how far north it goes, past Sacramento. So those are main arteries, and those arteries run east and west on the 5 on the western side of the state and 99 on the eastern part. So those are great corridors for criminals to use to, further their illicit activities. And so we're in a prime position to be able to interdict those criminals, whether it be drugs, guns, criminals with warrants, or whatever. We're in a prime position for that. And we have more time to focus on that because we're not in a metropolitan city where they're getting those calls for service constantly over and over and over again.
Yeah, and I know you guys are always out working hard, because when I was working in Bakersfield but still living up here in Sacramento, I was driving those corridors quite a bit. and always saw the K9 cars out there proactively patrolling, which always made me feel better. I know just you look at the state of California, and I feel like so many of the issues that we see right now can be traced to the illicit drug market, whether it's dependency, crime, the mental health ramifications of it. I mean, it's literally a poison that's poisoning our state. So I commend you guys for fighting the fight against that.
Yes. And I think it's important. There's probably a lot of people listening that are interested in the K-9 program. So I do want to talk about kind of what you guys look at or what you look at as a supervisor for applicants that are coming into the program. And I do think it's also important to kind of touch on, and you both did this in your own way, that the dog is really just an additional asset to the skill set that you already have honed in on. You both had the skill set before you even got a dog. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it takes to be a good K-9 handler?
Well, we do trainings throughout the division, and what I tell guys at these trainings, and Matt can attest to this, I always tell them, when a K-9 position comes available, if I don't already know who you are, it's going to be very hard for you to get that position. And what I mean by that is K-9 is not something you just wake up one day and say, I want to be a K-9 handler. That's not how it works, because when you accept responsibility for a K-9, you're accepting a child. You know, that dog has to eat every day. Their medical needs have to be attended to, cleaning their kennels, supervision, training. We train 32 hours a month. It's a big commitment to take on a K-9. And so if I don't know who you are and you haven't already been to K-9 training days, we welcome people to come to K-9 training days, because nobody likes getting in the suit and getting bit, especially the handlers. But so when we have 3 or 4 guys out there at the training day, hey, get in the suit. And this also gives us a chance to evaluate that individual, because some folks want to be K-9 handlers, but they're scared of dogs.
Yes, and I think they don't realize
they
it
don't
until
realize
they come out, right?
Until they get bit. But I would say that if you want to get into K-9, dig deep. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah. I think the lift of being a K-9 handler is really like, people are not, if you're not around or you don't know somebody intimately, you don't really fully grasp the fact that, the dog lives at your house. You have to really be pick and choose when you're going away for 12 hours or going on a vacation. Yes, you can board the dog, but it's really not something that the department wants you doing every weekend. And so it is very similar to having a kid. It is a full-time job, and it's a kid that not everyone can babysit.
Exactly.
So it's you've got to have certified people come and feed the dog, and so it is an enormous task.
Well, you bring up a good point. So the dog lives with you, correct,
Right.
at home. Do you have other dogs at home?
I don't anymore. I used to. And they never interacted.
Okay, and then I know. Did you
Yes.
have other dogs? Because I know you
did.
said that Benny and the Chihuahua used to.
Yeah, they made up. I have a lab and I have a Chihuahua, and so
How many dogs do you have at your house right now?
3 total. That's
Okay.
it. That's it. And so when Benny was active, he had no interaction with them. He has a kennel out back, and so he was kept separate from the other K-9s, from the other dogs. The only one that was allowed to feed him and interact with him was me, because he is a working dog. Mm-hmm. Well, back then he was a working dog. Yeah, and it's just a huge responsibility. But yeah, Benny, he gets along with the other dogs now great. They had to figure out what the pecking order was.
What is it?
Benny's on top.
Okay.
And then the lab, and then the Chihuahua. But the Chihuahua bullies the lab sometimes, so they fight it out. And then Benny's up here, and Benny just ignores him now.
Yeah.
He's just like, whatever. What's for dinner? I'm ready to eat. That's all he cares about.
And what kind of dog is Benny?
Benny's a shepherd.
Okay.
However,
Oh, you're questioning? You need a DNA?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I need to run by CVS, because he's got the energy of a Malinois.
Okay.
I think he might have some Malinois in him, because he's smart like a shepherd, but he's got the energy of a Malinois.
That's probably why he was so great.
I think
he
so.
was just like this cross
Yes,
of everything
yes.
good.
The apex predator of interdiction dogs.
Because Malinois have no sense of self-preservation. They just, and I had a Malinois before Benny, so I can compare the two. So I think he might have a little something else running through his veins, other than shepherd.
Matt, what's your partner?
Shepherd.
Shepherd. And what do you guys have in Central Division? Are you Shepherd Malinois mix or?
Yeah, we have both. We
Okay.
have both in the division.
What do you prefer?
Actually, I prefer a mix.
Good answer. Just because Benny's listening.
Absolutely.
That's what's happening right now.
It's funny because one of the best dogs I ever came across was he was a handler in Central Division. His name's Lloyd Pratt. He retired as a sergeant, and he had a Shepherd Malinois mix named Aaron, and that dog was just phenomenal. And then Benny reminds me a lot of him. So when I had Leica, who was a full-blooded Malinois, she was a handful. If anyone has a Malinois, has ever had to deal with them, it's chaos all the time. It's just total chaos. I mean, the example I like to give is if you have a wall, 5-foot wall, and I send the Malinois to the wall, the Malinois go and jump over the wall. Benny will go to the wall, look, and walk around it. That's the difference. The Malinois just has no sense of self-preservation. They'll run headlong into the wall to get to what they got to get to. Benny thinks a little more. Shepherds think a little more. So
Okay. What about you, Matt?
After having a Shepherd, I definitely prefer a Shepherd. My first 2 dogs were Malinois, and I would say the same thing. They don't think things through. They just go and figure it out as they're going. The Shepherd is a little more methodical, slows down, problem solves.
More hair.
a lot more.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, it's Malinois have, they shed
Yeah.
plenty.
Okay.
Why does the department choose the breeds that they choose?
I think it's because of the drive. These dogs are for the type of work we use them for. They're ideal. Smart, energetic, easy to train. They don't lose interest. They're just high drive K-9s. So, you're riding around in a car and your dog's sitting in the back. You've been riding around for 7 or 8 hours. As soon as you hit that rumble strip on the shoulder or that siren goes on, that dog is up and ready to go. Whereas, for example, if I had my lab back there, he'd be like, "Where we going?
Yeah.
Pull it over. What's
Why are you
going on
waking
up
me
there?
up?
Yeah, I'm sleeping back here, guy." So I think it's the breed itself, the Shepherd and the Malinois, are just fantastic for the type of work we do, whether it be narcotic interdiction or suspect apprehension. They're both very good at that.
Well, I want to try to sound like I know what I'm talking about because I'm the only one in the group here that doesn't have the canine experience. So I'm going to try to make it sound like I read up on this a little bit. So we have single purpose and dual purpose dogs. Am I tracking? Okay.
doing great.
See, I studied.
Yeah.
I studied.
Yeah.
What is the Central Division makeup? Is everybody dual purpose in Central Division, or do you have any single?
All of our K-9s in Central Division are dual purpose patrol and narcotic detection K-9s, but one is a EDC, explosive detection K-9,
Okay.
and patrol. So that would be what's Chavez's dog? Sky. Sky is a bomb dog.
Okay.
But she's also a patrol dog, also. So suspect apprehension, she does that as well.
And for the explosive detection, is it just bombs, or can they be used to track firearms, ammunition? Any like how do we use that in a patrol setting for the highway patrol?
Sky spends most of her time for example, if we have a dignitary coming into town, we help the Secret Service a lot for doing pre-event sweeps, looking for explosives, things like that. So she spends most of her time doing that.
Okay. Fascinating. See, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning about the canine program.
Okay,
This is
so
great.
speaking of Sky, well, maybe not Sky specifically, but tell everybody, how did the dogs get their name? Do you get to name your dog?
It's funny because when I first started, you got the name you got.
Really?
That's what I was told.
Yeah. I feel like that's what I heard, but now I'm hearing rumors.
Now, well, there have been some exceptions made, which I think are good. We have 2 K-9s in our unit that are no longer have their original names. The names they have now are meaningful names. So there are exceptions made.
Okay.
Where the dog, you can choose your dog's name as long as it's appropriate.
Yeah. Is it FSS, which is Field Support Section, which is the OPI here at headquarters? Do they name the dog, or does the handler get to name the dog?
These dogs are named before we purchase them. When we're testing them, when they come over from whatever country they come from, or from whatever breeder or kennel they come from here, they've already been named. So if you're going to change the name, that's when you want to do it initially when you receive the K-9 and start the training process. That's when you want to do it.
Yeah, I think you got to start early so that the dog knows what to call
Well, who
itself.
you talking to?
Or if you're like, my family dogs, you get your name and then you have like 37 different nicknames. The dog probably has no idea what its name actually is.
Yeah.
As long as they like respond.
Yeah,
I feel like it's appropriate.
As long as I'm holding the treats, they always respond.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Okay, so when you take them home at night, you said they're in the car, they're amped up, they're ready to work all the time. When you take them home, how do they transition? Are they amped up?
For me, my K9, Benny and Leica, they were, no, not really. They knew, the schedule's the same pretty much every day. So they knew they would hear certain sounds in the morning, like the car door opening or the garage door going up. So they knew it was time to go to work.
Dad's
so by
up.
the time I got
Dad's
to the kennel,
up. Yeah.
they're spinning around in circles and climbing and ready to go. And so at the end of the day, you pull into the garage, they hear you go 10-10 on the radio, pull into the garage, and he's just standing at the door waiting to get out. They get out, and then they go, and so they know it's time to eat because we feed our dogs, our K9s at the end of the shift. And so I just open the side garage door. He sprints to his kennel, goes in there, and turns around and, where's my food? They get fed, and then they relax for the rest of the night. And it's after a while, once you do that over and over, the routine is ingrained in them, and so they know what to expect.
When you're on vacation, are they like in the kennel? Like, what are we doing? Why are we not going to work?
Yeah, well, we have contract kennels, different kenneling facilities where we take them. And believe it or not, I don't know about Matt, but we have this one kennel. When I used to take Benny, he couldn't wait to get there because he got to fight and argue with other dogs all day. So he'd be in the kennel, there's other dogs around, and they just argue back and forth all day long, and he'd spin around and run around in his kennel. And this place was actually really great because they had a huge corral. It's like almost like a horse corral.
Yeah.
But it's huge, and they let them out there and they could run, throw the ball. It's like a spa. Pet resort. Yeah. And actually one place that we use is a pet resort, and and so they go there and they're happy. They adjust very well for the most part.
Right.
You're on vacation, they're on vacation.
They know that. So and then when I show up, he's jumps in the car, he's ready to go back home, and
he's been on vacation too.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The dogs are really smart. Especially with repetition, they understand environment, right? When they come down the driveway, she knows, hey, we're home. All I do is I open the door. She goes straight to her kennel. She sits there and she waits for her food because she knows this is where I get fed. This is where I'm going to wait, right? So she doesn't lose any time getting to her food, right? When we go to the academy, they'll get amped up when we're going through that gate, that initial guard. They know where we're at, right? Because they do it all the time. Sounds. If I unclick my seatbelt, she knows, all right, we're doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It used to be when the dash cam light would click on, I'd activate my forward reds. She'd hear that dash cam beep, and she'd be, all right, let's go. And all my dogs have done that. That now I know it's work time. So they're very smart.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know we talked about, Shane, you're overseeing the entire division as the supervisor. What is your normal area of operation, Matt?
I generally work in Fresno and Merced counties. Most of the time I like to pick I-5, but the type of work we do, we have to keep people guessing when we're working, where we're working, what hours. Do those guys start at 10? Do they start at 2? Are they on 99? Are they on 5? So we do vary it up strategically.
Okay. But mostly the central part of the
He's
Central
trying
Valley.
not to give out too much
I'm
information.
not.
That's why I'm
We're trying to be very, very vague.
Yeah, that's
Covert.
The northern half is
You're
where
asking too many questions.
the central part of Central Division in the Central Valley.
Yes.
That's it.
Remember, it's a cat and mouse game we're playing. So
Blair.
You guys are killing me. I'm the only non-canine. I'm getting picked on now.
I do have a question on here that says, who works harder, a bomb dog handler or a narcotics patrol?
Narcotics patrol.
We're having the bomb guy on later.
Like firefighters and cops. Yes, cops, of course.
I know when you were talking about, he does, GPD and he does this and he's at the events and
You
he's
get
at
all the
he's
overtime
at the
and just
concert.
hanging out and watching Super Bowl, working the Super Bowl, soccer games and concerts.
So we swept the building, and now we need to stand by over here by the food just to make sure
I
that
was
the
like,
food area
the
is
bomb dog handler, it's usually his second dog because he learned.
Absolutely.
He already learned.
that's true.
And we're out there, climbing onto cars, dirty from head to toe, sweating.
So maybe they're also smarter.
That might be it. I never claimed to be a smart man.
So you guys are the Malinois and they're the shepherds.
They figured it out.
You got the work drive and they're thinking it through.
Might have it.
Oh man, that's funny. Okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about drug interdiction. We talked a little bit about it earlier and how it is such a huge issue in California, and that, I mean, we've seen in the metropolitan areas now with just what the illicit drugs have done to people. What does your job doing interdiction every day, what does that mean to the average California citizen? How are you improving their quality of life in the work that you're doing on the I-5 or 99 corridor?
Well, I think it's very important because we've seen how drugs have destroyed communities and deeply affected communities. So being in a position where we can intercept drugs and criminals has a definite direct effect on the communities, because when you look at all of the crime that is centered around narcotics trafficking, I mean, you have prostitution, human trafficking, robberies, theft, the addiction, homelessness. There's one common denominator among all of those, and that's drugs. So when we go out, we're not looking for, I mean, if we come across it, of course, we deal with it, but we're not looking for the guy that's got a couple of grams of personal use, cocaine in his pocket or heroin or whatever. We're looking for the source. We're looking for the huge load, the 10, 15, 20, 50, 100-pound, what we call white dope loads. And when I say white dope, I'm referring to fentanyl, methamphetamine, heroin, and cocaine. That's what we're looking for. And I think that's one thing that we do where we absolutely know we're saving lives. For example, if Matt stops a car and it's got 50 pounds of fentanyl in it, that's millions of doses. We know that some of those people are going to overdose and get hospitalized or die from it. We know that. So intercepting that is definitely having an impact. Now, have we won the war on drugs? No. But we're going to fight every battle that is put in front of us, and we're going to do our part. And the commissioner said it a while back at a training. He said, if not us, then who? So we have that responsibility. The citizens of California expect us to go out, and they expect us to be in a position to intercept these drugs and criminals, and so that it makes things a little bit better in the community. So we look forward to doing that. We enjoy doing that, and we will continue to do that, and we will fight the good fight.
We try very much to highlight the work that not just Central Division K-9 does, but the K-9 units throughout the state. With our social media content, we try to post the great busts that the K-9 program gets. Unfortunately, we can't post a lot of them because these things end up turning into these longer investigations where you're finding, you found 100 pounds, but that came from a source with 1,000 pounds, and that came from a source with who knows how much. And we can't always highlight all the work that you're doing because of the confidential nature of these investigations. Right. Without a lot of specifics, what are some of the largest loads that you guys have personally intercepted?
I think my largest load of drugs, not currency, largest load of drugs was about 220 pounds of methamphetamine on Interstate 5. He beat me, but
a little bit.
Friendly competition. Friendly competition.
We do compete.
we're very competitive.
My largest was around 340 pounds. It was all cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamine. I had another one that was, I think, 260, and then another one that was a little over 200.
And now I can kind of speak a little bit about what I'm talking about as a DRE instructor. I know that a dose for someone to get high is so minuscule, and you're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And then, is this stuff that you're getting, is it mostly pure and going somewhere to get cut, or is it already cut and has God knows what put into it?
Most of it's not cut yet.
It's just come across the border.
Yeah.
We get it before it gets to the final destination.
Because once for folks that maybe aren't familiar, you've got your pure source of drugs. It'll go somewhere, and then it'll be cut with all sorts of different agents that will dilute it down, but then it increases their profit because they're able to sell it when it's got all these other things mixed into it. And some of the things that are being put into it are just straight up, literally chemicals and poison.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that starts to get into the, you have the cartel that creates the dope, moves it across the border. But then when the drug dealers get it, they start going, well, I could make an extra 30% if I cut this down. They might care what they're putting in it. They might not. And that's where we really start to get the dangerous cutting agents.
Right. You see so many of these overdose stories, especially with younger kids that are overdosing in high school. Almost all of them have a common theme of, oh, they thought they were taking Percocet. They thought they were taking Xanax, but it's some illicit drug, and it's actually mostly fentanyl and drain cleaner and who knows what else. And
I feel like it's always been dangerous. Like when we were all younger, it was dangerous, but now it is like, just trying to get the kids to understand, everybody to understand, like you can't try anything.
no.
You cannot, because it could be anything.
Absolutely. Interesting story. The first fentanyl that I ever seized is a while ago. It's right when fentanyl, you just kind of started hearing about it, but didn't know too much about it. I stopped a young lady on Interstate 5, and she ended up having, she had like a couple of kilos of cocaine, and she had this bag of these pills, M30s, oxycodones, And so I'm thinking, okay, she's got M30s. They're, stole them from a pharmacy. They're going to sell them, whatever. So I get back to the office, and I'm looking at the pills. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll count them, see how many they are, and I'm counting them. It ended up being 1,000 pills, which is what's called a boat. And so packages it all up, and then Homeland Security adopted the case because it was a substantial amount of dope. And then I remember the agent had it tested, and he goes, hey, those are fentanyl pills. Those pills are loaded with fentanyl. And going back to what you were saying as far as these pills being in the community, these kids, these high school kids, they don't know. They think that it's just Oxycontin. It's going to make me feel good, mellow me out or whatever. Well, when these pills are made, they're one of the most popular cutting agents is acetaminophen. So they'll mix the acetaminophen, have a big pile of acetaminophen, put X amount of pure fentanyl in it, and then mix it up. Well, this isn't Philip Morris mixing these pills. It's somebody in there with a blender or a big industrial blender, and they're mixing all of this up, and then they're pressing pills out of it. So you buy 10 pills, this pill here might not have anything in it. It might have just a tiny bit of fentanyl in it. But then you take this pill, and it's got a lethal dose. So that's how you never know. It's really playing Russian roulette when you're taking these pills. You never know the potency of the pill versus what you would get from a pharmacy.
No quality control in the compounding
There's
garage.
no quality control in the trap house. Mm-hmm. There just isn't. And that's why you have so many overdoses, because these kids think it's just the M30, it's just the oxy, but it's not.
Was that a similar experience in Valley when you were there?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is very similar, right? Yeah. We were a more metropolitan area than Central Division, so we do more patrol work, I think, up here in Valley Division than maybe they do. I don't know about Fresno and stuff. I feel like it's probably busy down there too. But so, yeah, the mindset is the same. I think, I feel like everybody Benny and the Central Dogs, Butler, I do think they have like just the interdiction thing down. I think everybody in the state probably can learn something from the way that they're doing things there. I have heard that maybe there's going to be some department type training for being put on by you guys, which I think is amazing, because I do think it's a skill set that not everybody has, and I think it's a skill set that everybody can benefit from. Mm-hmm. And absolutely. There's value in it, and it is a with practice, absolutely. Right, and training, you really can like hone in on that. But I do think you need a mentor. I think a lot of times, if you don't have somebody around you or in your unit or in your area on your shift that is already doing it, I think it's intimidating. Mm-hmm. It can be intimidating.
It's very misunderstood.
Yeah.
Even within law enforcement and outside of law enforcement. But you got to think just like with a large grocery chain, when they want to move a large amount of product, where are they going? They're going to I-5, right? Yeah. So when we stop that car before it gets to the community, think of how many man hours we're saving, how many resources we're saving from overdoses and access to narcotics by stopping 50 pounds on the highway before it gets to, say, Sacramento and breaks up into 50 1-pound loads and then 28 1-ounce loads, right, and spiders out. So yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
No.
I think that's a good transition point to talk about how the K-9 program can improve safety for officers, improve safety for the community, and enhance our trust with the public. My experience has always been when I've had a K-9 unit that has come to back me up on something, as soon as the dog is out and the dog is barking, people's demeanor changes. And I can't think of a single time I've been in a situation where I've had to use any sort of force once the K-9 is there, because it just completely changes the dynamic. Is that something that you guys have had a chance to see firsthand?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I've had, this is a while back. We had they were doing a felony stop, and they had this guy, he was at gunpoint. He was a convicted felon. The guy had a rap sheet, it's probably 10 pages long. I mean, just a hardcore criminal, menace to society. And so he's outside of the car, and everyone's got their guns drawn, and he's yelling and screaming. He's just not going with the program. And so showed up with the K-9, got the K-9 out, went to the front. K-9 started barking. He immediately followed every command, went into custody, zero problems. Yes, the dogs, when they show up to the scene, more often than not, they bring calm to the scene. And that reduces the risk to our officers who are dealing with a violent individual or an individual that doesn't want to go with the program. Just the mere presence of that K-9, it has a calming effect on people.
I think it's a misconception, you know, because I do think the dog is utilized in a patrol aspect as a deterrent.
It is
95% of the time.
It is a de-escalation tool.
Yes,
and I think a lot. Something else that goes into that is actually the training and the experience of our K-9 officers. So, for example, if one of my officers is responding to a scene, it's not uncommon for him to call me, call another more experienced handler, and say, hey, I'm rolling to this scene. This is what they've got. They've got a barricaded suspect, or they've got this or whatever. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm going to approach this situation, and get a second opinion. And sometimes the other guy be like, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right over the target. That sounds good. Or you say, you might want to try this, because he's a more experienced handler with a lot more deployments. So that training and that ability and having enough humbleness about you to call someone else and say, I'm not 100% sure about this scenario, that helps, especially when we're responding to a scene that's chaotic. Your plan is already in place. You don't want to get to a scene with a K-9 and then try to
have no plan. Yeah.
Let the dog figure it out.
Yeah. And that's why, like I said, that's why we train so much. We try to present every scenario you could possibly come across. You can't duplicate every scenario. But at our training days, every Wednesday, if anyone had a significant event the week before, we all game plan it. But we debrief it. And, you present your scenario, what happened. And some guys may agree with how you handled it. Some guys may not. But we'll hash it out there so that next time it presents itself, we're prepared for it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to also, how you select your K-9 handlers, Absolutely. Why it's so important. You talked about, that when you're hiring somebody, it's not the first time that you've seen them or met them, because, again, there is so much liability in this position. And, you have to be or select somebody who can be calm and level-headed. You guys know this better than anybody. When the K-9 shows up on scene, everyone's looking at you. Everyone's looking at you,
That's right.
And you're going to control the situation. You're going to mitigate whatever circumstances have evolved, and you have to be in a position to not only handle your dog, which is a lot in itself, but you have to also manage the chaos.
Yes.
And so I think it's so important to select somebody who is capable of doing all those things, and it's not easy.
No,
it is not easy.
It's not.
Yeah,
because you're going to show up to a scene and you're going to have a sergeant coming up to you as an officer. Hey, what do you need me to do?
As a field sergeant, I did that. I would go up to the K-9 because they were always they had the experience. They knew what they were doing, and I can't tell you how many times I'd be at some high risk situation. I've got my gun out and things are just kind of going a little crazy. And as soon as you hear the dog start barking, you hear, car pulls up and you hear the dog start barking, you're like, oh, it is.
They're here.
It's a calming effect for the officers too.
Oh, good, they're here.
They're good. Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yes.
Because it does. It changes the dynamic so much. You're like, okay, this is gonna go this is going to be good now. This is going to have a peaceful resolution.
Yes.
This is,
Yeah,
and
you
then
got-
you're Officer Butler, and you have all of that on your shoulders.
yeah.
well, you got the
Yeah.
extra tool, and then you have the experience of the officer, right? Yeah.
Yes.
100% right.
So, yeah. Is there something that we didn't ask that you feel like I wish people understood this, or this is important to the program, or whether it be young officers that are maybe listening or the public that's listening, something that you feel like there's a misconception or something you want everyone to know?
I would say to the young officers, and I'll reiterate it, that, hey, if you're interested in K-9, we welcome you to come out, and we can both fill each other out and see if we're right for each other. Because sometimes K-9 spots just pop up out of the blue. It's like nobody knew it was coming.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you know how it is, a position comes up at headquarters. All of a sudden, all these people are putting in for this spot. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? We never heard of this guy before. But for K-9, yeah, to come out and train with us. We love having people training. We take people on ride-alongs. Anybody that wants to go ride with us, department-wise, we take them out. I make Matt take them out. And, he's done a lot. And actually, he's had some of his largest seizures have come with another officer riding along with him. So, yeah, come out, see what it is we do. And if it's something you want to do and you're committed to it, I'm confident you can eventually secure a spot in K-9. I've known guys to move across the state for a K-9 spot. Wow. From Northern California to the border.
Yeah.
That's how bad they wanted it. And that says something. If this guy's willing to do that, maybe we need to give him a second look.
Yeah.
Well, also, if you're up in Sacramento and you're presented, hey, would you like to be a K-9 handler in San Diego? You know what? That's a commitment I think I could make. I can make that sacrifice and go to San Diego for the department. I think I could do that.
I applied 3 times. It took me 3 times to get into K-9, but it was worth it.
Look at you now.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Look at you on the podcast.
Yes.
Talking about the program.
Yeah, I've made it.
He's arrived.
The
face of the
subject
K-9
matter expert.
The face of the K-9 program.
Okay, we do at the end what we call rapid fire. We're just going to ask you some questions, and then you just answer. We're going to do it with 2 people. It's a little bit
I
different.
know, that's what it's
I
gonna
know.
be.
Want us to answer at the same time? Or?
We will have you both answer.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have you both answer. So, dog's favorite toy or training reward?
Kong on a rope for the
Kong.
toy.
Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any food. Any food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fruit.
What do you prefer, training day or a patrol shift?
Patrol
Patrol
shift. Absolutely.
Okay, in one word, describe your canine partners. I know you've had multiple, so you can do one word for each. Benny.
One word? Mm-hmm. Steady.
Steady Benny.
Daddy.
Steady.
Okay.
Matt.
I'll do Bruce.
Perfect.
Stubborn.
Oh.
Stubborn. All right, so why? Why steady Benny?
Because first of all, he's not affectionate at all. He's never going to lick you. I mean, you go up to him, hey, baby, he's like, what?
He just wants to work.
Yeah, he just wants to work. He's like, you got some food for me. Other than that, just put me back in the kennel. Or the
He's not
car."
affectionate.
He's not affectionate. Some dogs will lick you and want to jump up on you. No, that's not Benny. Benny's like, you're getting on my nerves.
Did
Get
you
off
want
me."
him to be affectionate ever?
No,
No?
not really.
I feel like that would annoy me. Like I
guess
would be like,
got-
oh my God, like show
got
these
used
people
to
that
it.
you love me.
I got used to
Yeah.
it, and it was just like that's just not him.
That's
He's
just
not
not
that.
him.
He's not that dog.
He was a lot of things though, so I feel
Yes.
like he made up for it. You both had male and female dogs. Differences
I wouldn't
when
say,
it comes to work.
I wouldn't say there's been a difference for
No,
me between
No.
the sexes. Luna was a handful. She really was a handful. She was just as much of a handful as Bruce, and when they select these dogs, it's really based on personality, capabilities, temperament, right, drive. And we get that question a lot, right? Of do they have any female dogs? Yeah, when they meet the qualifications, it doesn't matter if they're male or female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leica, the difference, Leica's a totally different dog because
Right.
she's a male. But I think the one thing that drives me nuts with Benny is he's a guy, so he's got to mark his territory.
Oh yeah.
Every time you pull him out of the car,
Yeah.
he's got to mark his territory because he's still intact.
Yeah.
And so, but that wasn't an issue with Leica. Leica's
She's a lady.
and all the female dogs, they're spayed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the male dogs are kept intact.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Shay does that too. If she smells a boy dog's urine, she'll pee right over it every time. Every time, dominant.
Wow. That's awesome.
Interesting. Sorry, I got off.
Depends
got
on the
us off.
dog. Depends on the dog.
Yeah.
It really does.
Right.
That's incredible. I feel like I've missed out by not working canine at all.
You
in
did.
My, my
You
career.
did. You did.
It is by far the best assignment on the department.
There's no better. I mean, the freedom you get with being a K-9. I mean, you have a take-home car. You wake up, you load your partner up, you go 10-8. And, these guys see me once a week, a couple times a week, because I still work the road with them. If I don't have any paperwork, I'm out there on the 5 and 99 with these guys, working with them. But you have a lot of independence, which with that comes a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So then that's why, as you were saying earlier, the maturity factor and the training and the experience of the officers we choose, we're very selective, because you might be working an hour away from your closest backup. So you've got to your officer safety has to be definitely on point. You have to be able to foresee things before they happen. It's a heavy responsibility to be a K-9 officer. And like you said earlier, everyone, when stuff goes down, everyone's looking to you for guidance. And you got to be able to provide that confidently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have one last rapid fire question.
Okay. I feel like we covered this, but most common public misconception about police canines.
I think the biggest misconception is that we just go out and bite people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And because, you look at YouTube and all the other social media, that's what's on there. The dogs that are apprehending suspects all the time. But for us, it's extremely rare. We try to avoid it. And I know that throughout the department, I can only speak for the Highway Patrol. We don't bite a lot of people. We try to use the dog as a de-escalation tool, not an escalation tool. And we owe that to the public. We have a responsibility to them, and they expect us to be professional. They expect us to only deploy our K-9s and apprehend suspects when it's absolutely necessary. And so that's what we try to do, and we train for that. I think one of the reasons we have so few bites is because of our training, and de-escalating on the front end, preparation on the front end, so that when you get to the scene, you've already, like we said earlier, you've got a plan in place to address the issues. Now, sometimes you can't avoid it. A suspect has to be apprehended, and to prevent harm to the officers that are there, you have to utilize the K-9. But it is definitely the exception, not the rule. It's rare.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for coming here today. We know that you're both extremely busy and a ways away from home, making your way up here. So we really appreciate it. I hope everybody listening got a better insight into our department's K-9 program, as well as what K-9s have to offer for the public and why it's such an important unit. And we can't thank you enough. So appreciate it, and maybe we'll see you again on here.
Yeah, and being the only one at the table that doesn't have canine experience, I actually feel like I learned a lot today. So thank you guys for coming up.
Thank you for having us.
I learned more about the K-9 program. I hope all of you enjoyed learning more about the CHP's K-9 program, and thank you for watching another episode of Behind the Badge. Remember to like and subscribe. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify and iHeart. Make sure you follow us on social media as well, and we'll see you next time on Behind the Badge.
Gas traffic.
Multiple units 83 and out from Park.